All right, here we go with the News and You, October 26th edition. How can we take what's in the news and use it to prepare, either both personally or for our businesses? Geomagnetic storms. So we all like to see the northern lights, the aurora borealis, the oohs and ahs of all the greens and reds. But this can play havoc on our infrastructure. So radio, phone, internet blackouts, grid failures. It's happened many, many times. Now, one of the most cited examples is the 1859 Carrington event, when there was a lot less digital stuff, if any, around. We had telegraph lines, and even those, because it's an induced electrical current, and so that traverses through both wires, so telegraph, telephone, power lines, even through pipelines, water, oil and gas, things like that. It can transmit that current, and there was a lot of issues even then. And since then, there's been lots of cases. In Canada, 1989 in Quebec, millions of people without power, and just look it up, and there'll be lots and lots of different varying degrees of impact from geomagnetic storms or coronal mass ejections, solar flares, those kinds of disturbances. And so we don't need, an electromagnetic pulse from a nuclear weapon detonating in the atmosphere to wipe out our grid or life as we know it. If a large event happened that we weren't sufficiently hardened or ready for, there are reports, some very interesting reports out there indicating that we could, due to the length of time, to replace transformers if they're impacted, and all the electronics be years without power. And without power and internet, electricity, all of those things, estimates are that up to 90% of the North American population would die within the first year. So that's something that should be concerning to everyone. So what can we do? Lessons for us: harden your own systems. So have surge protectors. On the power bars, you can get some that are surge protected. You can have surge protection for your computer with UPS, your uninterrupted power supplies. You can get whole home surge protectors that will help to shield your equipment, appliances, electronics, or dampen the effect of it. There's other things you can do to protect yourself too, but Faraday cages. Have your backup preps, maybe your for emergencies ham radio or walkie-talkies or a backup computer, whatever it is. Even something as simple as having it in a metal garbage can. Go buy a $30. Where there's lots of people now with all the recycling and pickups and all that still have the old metal garbage cans. I've gotten a number of them for free. You see one in a back alley in a residential area. I've knocked on the door. I've asked them, what are you doing with that old garbage can? Some of them don't even remember they still have it back there, and they've just given them away. Clean it up. Put your backup equipment in it. So have backup equipment. If you have an old computer, instead of tossing it out, tuck it away. Wrap it up in foam and tin foil and put it inside your metal garbage can. Keep it in case you need it. Have your backup storage, external hard drives, all that stuff. Same thing. Protect it, tuck it away, and have backup plans. What are you going to do if you lose power? Do you have a backup generator? Do you have solar panels? Do you have batteries to go with those solar panels? Again, I see lots of people that might have solar panels but no batteries. And so if the grid goes down, even though you got solar panels, you don't have power. So do you have backup batteries? Do you have wind-up flashlights or a wind-up radio? Do you even have a radio? How are you going to get information? Harden your facilities, harden your infrastructure, do what you can for your stuff as much as you can, and have your plans. And your plan should include awareness, notification, escalation. So if you hear on the radio, hey, get ready for the spectacular display of northern lights this weekend, that means there's a magnetic disturbance coming our way. Maybe if you know something's going to hit, unplug things that you don't need, because it's that electric induced current going through transmission lines that can damage the equipment. So tuck those things away. Put your vehicles in your garage. I know lots of people just use their garage as storage for all their stuff. Their vehicles outside, more exposed to the electromagnetic disturbances. Do what you can. Mobile and online banking issues again. So this was an article on a particular bank that was again having the app and online banking, money movements, things like that were disrupted, and they apologized again and said they fixed it again. But a single individual bank is not alone. It's the principle we're looking at here and what we have to do to prepare in general. Because if your bank hasn't had the problem, they likely will. And as we move to open banking with more ease of moving money and information and things like that, it'll become more widespread, not less. And this tied into another article on how the internet and social media were increasing the speed of bank runs. Well, yeah, if you have to physically go into the branch to withdraw your money, that slows you down than if you can just click online and transfer your money to a different account, move it around, stuff like that. So, and even all the ATMs and different ways to access your cash. So yeah, it's going to increase the speed that can happen. And the article suggested that the banks need to prepare, have more, liquidity, more cash on hand to be able to meet the demand, or more ready access to cash. If you think that that's what they're going to be doing, you might want to rethink that. Probably it'll be what's known as a bank holiday. The bank will close, or back to our original title, they'll suddenly have mobile and online banking issues. Now, whether that's just because of the large amount of people trying to move their money or get things out, or that they just hit the kill switch on it to prevent people from doing that. Either one. Now, that could be part of their planning. When they say banks must prepare, that's likely what's going on as an option or being considered. Why don't we just turn it off? People can't access. And then when they come into the branch to get their money, we'll just say, well, our systems aren't up. You can't access your money. Something like that. So what do? Don't have all your money in one bank or in a single account. This is good for another, a number of reasons. Federal insurance only covers up to a certain amount. If that one branch is having problems, or that one bank, that one institution, maybe another one is not, so you might be able to get some money out. Keep some cash on you and at home. This is interesting. I was thinking about, they say, diversify. Don't have all of your money in a single stock, for example. Or if you are a stock investor in a single, sector, like I've got everything in oil and gas, or I only own bank stocks. Well, even if you diversify within stocks, I've got bank stocks, I've got oil and gas, I've got hardware stores, I've got, real estate investment trusts. You're all still in the stock market. So you haven't really diversified outside of that investment vehicle. You have different investment classes, but not the investment vehicle. So why would you keep all of your money in the bank? Oh, don't worry. I'm in stocks and bonds. I've got mutual funds. I've got GICs. I've got a high interest savings account. Yeah, all with the same bank. You've put everything in one basket. If that bank has problems and goes offline, you've lost all of that stuff. Medical supply shortages. Well, that was a concerning title to read. And so when I opened up the article, it was more around how those wishing to stay at home and be treated at home, that home care program had some issues, funding issues with getting the supplies for those individuals. So people were having to source and buy their own supplies. That seemed to be it, not necessarily that there was a full-on shortage, but that they had to source and buy their own. So what can we learn from this? Look after yourself. There's a number of these, the themes to the things I was reading this morning is that, and you'll see it coming up still. Look after yourself. Don't be dependent on others. What can you do for yourself? Can you stock up at all on some of the things that you need? Look after yourself. Maintain and improve your health wherever you can, in whatever capacity you're at. It doesn't matter, how injured, how problematic your case may be. We can always look to, try and do what we can to be as fit and healthy as possible. That's things we can do ourselves. Alberta business is increasingly affected by social disorder. This article was about crime increasing, theft, vandalism, safety issues, all on the rise. Now, this is certainly not specific to Alberta, but this is what the article was about. The feel of it, though, was around, again, back to kind of the theme of this news session is, well, what's the government going to do for me, right? Social disorder, that's a societal problem. So where's my funding? Who's going to pay for my surveillance cameras and my extra lights? All of those things. And when I read it, I was just struck. I was wondering, I try and look at, different sides to things, try and hold those conflicting thoughts in my head. And I wonder if the people asking for the grants are the same people calling to defund the police, to not have increased business taxes, and for government just to get out of the way and let them run their business. If you're making a profit, the profit's mine. But if there's issues and problems and money's needed to fix something, well, where's the government? That's the government's problem. So have a think about that and see where you fall within that. Again, what lessons can we learn? Don't rely on the government. If you read books on this, look at cases of actual events happening, all of these things, a lot of people are very, very reliant on the government, and we shouldn't be. The pyramid of preparedness starts with the individual and the family as the base of it. You have to start with that. Until you've exceeded everything you can do on your own, whatever that may be, there's always something we can do. Even if you have no money, you can still do things, right? There's always something you can do. So for crime prevention and safety, what are some things we can do? Well, don't rely on the government. Keep things tidy. Criminals generally, and if you look at crime prevention through environmental design or CPTED, different strategies is always housekeeping. Maintain housekeeping. So both for safety issues, slips, trips, and falls, people may be less likely to litter if your store is nice and clean. If it looks like a garbage pile, they might think less about just dropping their garbage. Or if there's graffiti, they might put more graffiti. Have good lighting in whatever aspect you can, even if it's using a brighter bulb, having motion-activated lighting. Maybe keeping the store lit at night. So if officers are driving by, they can quickly see in if you're supposed to be open, closed. Lighting helps prevent crime. Help your neighboring businesses. Look out for each other. Again, it's the individual and the family that starts at the base of preparedness. And then it goes up to what's your community? What's your group? So if you see something happening across the way, don't just ignore it. Right? It's the old adage that someone else is in trouble, you don't do anything. And then when you're in trouble, you expect everyone to help you. Conduct a risk assessment and develop mitigation strategies. So what are the things that are most likely to impact you? Do you even know? There's lots of free online information. Figure that stuff out and then start developing plans. Think about it, put it down, and then put it into practice. You can check out my video on rural crime prevention on Risk Ready 101. It's on my website, on the YouTube channel. Right? The concepts, it was for rural crime prevention, but It's the principles of it all. It's just like risk management, emergency management, business continuity. The principles are the same. It doesn't matter what industry you're in, what business you're in, there's key things that you should be applying to your situation, no matter what it is, right? It's the principles of it all. So check that out. Take some of the tips and tricks and learnings from that and apply it to yourself. Again, what can you do as an individual first before you ramp it up? Thanks very much. Like and subscribe. Pass it on to someone if you think they'll like it. We'll talk more soon.